Hi, I'm Jason Walcott and this is Walcott Fine Art. Today's video is all about brushes. Now anyone who's shopped for art supplies knows there is an overwhelming array of brushes to choose from. So today, I'm going to show you several different kinds of artist brushes and help you choose the best one for your needs. So, let's go! Okay, so today we're going to take a look at some brushes here. And this first little pile of brushes I have here are the ones that you're generally going to want to use for oil painting. So brushes fall into two main categories. That's natural hair, made from genuine animal fur or animal hair, and synthetic, which is obviously made of synthetic materials like nylon or polyester and that kind of thing. So your best brushes for oil painting are going to be bristle brushes, which are these right here. And the reason they're called bristle brushes is these hairs are the bristles that come from a Chinese hog. So now, when you're looking at these hairs under a microscope, the reason they work so well for painting is because if you were to enlarge the very end of these hairs up really big, you'd see that each hair has what's called a flag on it, as you can see in this diagram here. And that's a natural kind of split end that forms on the hair. And that little flag grabs a whole lot of paint. So it makes these Chinese hog bristle brushes really good for holding oil paint, which is stiff. And these bristles are pretty, they have some stiffness to them, and they're pretty hardy. So they're good for most general oil painting applications. You can use these possibly for acrylic, but acrylic can be hard on natural hair brushes, especially if any even little tiny bits of paint get dried in there. You can't ever get it off. So generally synthetic brushes are better for acrylics, but for oils you want to probably stick mainly to these Chinese hog hair brushes, and those are going to be your workhorse brushes. And there's two different shapes that I generally use and I think that you would find useful, and that's the flat brushes, which you see here, that are square shaped, and then the filbert brushes, which have that round end on them like that. So just to review again, I'll put up this little diagram here. The brushes with the rounded end are the filberts, and then the brushes with the square end are called flats. Now there are other kinds of brushes out there like rounds and brights, but I find I never use them. And if you get 2 or 3 sizes of each in filbert and flat, if you're just starting out, I think you'll be good there. The Blick Master Stroke bristle brushes, that's a great brand. They make really nice brushes. And also Rosemary and Company is another brand that's really good. They make really nice brushes, and you can order those from the UK. They're based in the UK. So those are going to be your workhorse bristle brushes. Now also for oil, you can use, now this is a synthetic brush that's a little softer. And then this is the softest brush for oils, this is actually mongoose hair, which since has been, mongoose is now on the endangered species list. So you can't make mongoose hair brushes anymore, but Rosemary and Company, the company I just mentioned, bought up all the last remaining stock of the genuine mongoose. So I think they still have some left you can order from them. But this hair is very soft, and so this is good in the final stages of an oil painting if you want to do glazing or make really soft passages where the brush strokes don't show up as much. Then having a real soft bristle hair like this is much better for that kind of application, because these These hog bristle, the Chinese hog bristles, you know, the standard brush for oil painting, those will leave brush strokes on your painting most of the time. So then, if you're an acrylic painter, you can get the same type of brushes, flats and filberts, but these are synthetic. These are made from nylon, or sometimes they call it Takalon or Taklon, which is just a synthetic, you know, like nylon or polyester type material. So these brushes have a similar stiffness to the bristle, but obviously the end is not flagged because they're machine made or man made. And these kind of brushes are good for acrylic, but you can also use them for oil painting as well. So either way, if you're really on a tight budget, these brushes, the nylon brushes, are going to be the least expensive. So and you can use those for oil as well. So you might find some of these brushes for $2 or $3 a piece at places like Blick or Jerry's Artorama. These, the better hog bristles are going to run anywhere from $7 to $12 a piece. That's probably in that range. But if you take care of your brushes, they'll last for a while. And then last but not least, I wanted to take a look at the brushes used for watercolor. And even though I don't do watercolor as much, I do use it for sketching, and I do use it for fun because I like watercolor as a fun medium to work in. And this is where you get the most variety of brushes, actually. So your least expensive of the watercolor brushes, just like the oil or brushes, are going to be the synthetic brushes, the nylon brushes like this. And this is an American Journey brush, which is made by Cheap Joe's. And this is a flat. And so you can see that these brushes have, sort of just like a general appearance to them, but the nylon bristles are nice and soft, and so they'll hold a fair amount of water. But if the best brushes to get for watercolor are the genuine Kolinsky sable brushes. Now these, I have this one. These are very expensive, so unless you're willing to invest a fair amount of money, you might not want to maybe buy one of these right away. But they are a joy and a pleasure to use, and they hold a ton of water. And I'll put this little diagram up on the screen. The reason these Kolinsky sables hold so much water is if you were to enlarge the hair under a microscope, you'd see it has all these hundreds of little branches coming off of the hair, and each one of those little pockets holds water, as opposed to the synthetic or nylon, bristles, which are very smooth and tapered, so they don't hold as much water. So now, the reason that these Kolinsky sables are so expensive is because it has to be a very specific type of hair. It has to come from the male Kolinsky, only from the tail, and only in the winter can the hair be harvested. So, and male Kolinskys only live in Siberia, so people have to go to Siberia and harvest the hair from the tail of the male Kolinsky, and you can only do it in the wintertime when their hair is thicker. So it makes these brushes very expensive. A brush like this, genuine Kolinsky sable, can run anywhere from $60 up to $200 for one brush, and it's very expensive. So, but a lot of watercolor artists swear by this. I got this one from Rosemary and Company. And one of the other advantages to Kolinsky sable is it points so well. Like, you'll notice, looking at this brush, it's dry now, completely dry, and you see how it's kind of all fanned out. Watch what happens when I put it in the water. I got a bucket of water over here. Now, if I give it a flick, look how that points when it's wet. Can you see that? comes to that rapier sharp point, and that is a classic hallmark of Kolinsky sable. So a single brush can be used for very fine detail work or very large washes. So if you get serious about your art and you eventually get to the point where you want to spend some extra money, definitely try a Kolinsky sable brush, because it's really a joy to use. And last but not least, another brush that you can use for watercolor are these squirrel mops. Now this is squirrel hair. Now, unlike a Kolinsky sable, this doesn't have the spring that a Kolinsky sable has. So in other words, a sable brush, like if you press this back, it kind of will snap back into shape more, whereas this is more loose and kind of floppy, but it does hold a good amount of water. But the squirrel hair brushes are more for like very loose, washy kind of work. But they do hold a lot of water, just like a Kolinsky sable, and they're not as expensive. This is a brush I got from Isaby. So squirrel hair is also a great way to go if you can't afford Kolinsky sable. So those are the different types of brushes. So just remember the and generally watercolor brushes will have short handles. So that's the way to tell the difference between watercolor brushes and oil and acrylic brushes. Is that the watercolor brushes will have the short handles, and the acrylic and oil brushes will have the long handles. And the reason that is because painters who work on canvas generally want to be able to sort of step back and do their work from a little bit of a distance, whereas watercolor artists are generally working at a desk and are a little bit closer to their surface that they're working on. So remember that it's the hog bristles for your oil painting is going to be your workhorse brush. You can also use a synthetic, and that's good for acrylic too. If you want to try softer hair for oil, like the mongoose, those are available from Rosemary & Company. And then you have your synthetic and natural hair watercolor brushes that you can choose from. So I hope this helped clear things up a little bit for you and give you some insights into which kind of brushes you like to buy if you're looking to get brushes. And I appreciate you watching. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you next time. Take care. Thanks so much for watching. Go ahead and click on that subscribe button so you won't miss the next video. And why not spread the joy? Be sure to share my videos on your favorite social media. Don't forget to head on over to my website, walcottfineart.com, where you can see my art, read my blog, or when you join my newsletter list, you can win free art. Every month, I'll choose a lucky winner for my email list, and that person will receive a mini original oil painting. There's a chance to win every month, so be sure to sign up today so you don't miss out. Plus, you'll get my fun newsletter. See you next time!